Happy New Year, family. So good to have you here again. My name is autistic. If you are new on this channel, kindly subscribe, kindly turn on the notification so that you get any information. My name is autistic and I talk about special needs, I talk about education, I talk about DIY therapies that you should do to help your child with special needs. I talk about parenting, and this year I think I will be adding a little bit of book review to my content, so that you can watch out for books that you should read as well, and also for your kids also. Alright, so good to have you here. I pray that this year will bring us goodness, gladness, abundance, and answers to all our questions, all our prayers, in Jesus' name. Amen. So good to have you here again. You're welcome. Yeah, please, I would use this moment to tell every parent with special needs, or if you know that you know someone that has a child with special needs, this is a place for you where you can get information. I will make sure in my own capacity I provide all information that you need. And then today I will be talking about sensory processing modalities. Not just today, because it will be a long journey, and I will talk about everything. But today I'll just go into the introduction of sensory processing modality. What you need to know about sensory processing for a child with ASD. ASD is autism spectrum disorder. So everything you need to know about spectrum, about sensory processing modality is what I'll be talking about on today's episode. Yeah, kindly stay tuned. Alright, so people with autism might have sensitivities to sight, to smell, to awareness of the body posture, to sound, to touch, to taste, to their balance. We call that to their balance, that is vestibular, to movement, which can also be called proprioception, and also with awareness of internal body cues and sensation. We call that one interoception. Alright, autistic people can experience both hypersensitivity, which is also called over-responsiveness, to a wide range of stimuli. Yeah, so you notice that there are some children that are very, very hyperactive. That is just the way their sensory process the information that they get. And then most people have a combination of both. So some child can have both hypersensitive and hyposensitive. So when it is hypersensitive, it is over-responsiveness. When it is hyposensitive, it is under-responsiveness. So a child can have just one, can have maybe either hypersensitivity or hyposensitivity, and a child can also have both, which means you see the symptoms of both hypersensitive and also hyposensitive in just one child. I will make all this very, very simple for you to understand. Now, many autistic people experience hypersensitivity to bright lights or to certain light wavelengths. Maybe, for example, LED, fluorescent light. Some children experience hypersensitivity to them. So you see, when they have an experience light, you see that they have a particular reaction, and then you have to just turn off this light and whatever like that. Some people have a hypersensitivity to sound, to smell, to texture and taste, and also it can be very, very overwhelming. And in the process of it being overwhelming, sometimes in the process of them trying to avoid all these things, it can also result to sensory avoidance. So what does sensory avoidance mean? It means trying to get away from stimulus or stimuli that most people can easily tune out. Now, for a typical child, they can relate well with lights, with different sound and whatever. Then for a child with hypersensitivity that cannot tolerate light or probably sound or touch, they will have it is very, very overwhelming for them. It can result in sensory avoidance, and it means trying to get away from stimulus or stimuli that most people can easily tune out. myself and any typical child can tune out when there is light. You just cope like that. It is not because you just want to cope, but it's because your sensory can take it, so you can easily just tune it out. You are okay when there is light, you are okay when there is no light, you are okay when someone touch you, you are okay when someone does not touch you. But for some child with ASD, it is quite different. It's a different ball game. Sensory avoidance can also look like pulling away from physical touch, covering their ears from when there is noise, trying to react to light when they see light, or unpredictable sound, or avoiding certain kinds of clothing. Yeah, you notice that there are some child with autism spectrum disorder that there are some kind of clothes that you cannot put on for them, maybe probably that you see them reacting to it, probably trying to pull it off, or they are not just convenient. So that is one of the sensory processing modality that they experience. It's either it's hypersensitive or it's hypo, but on this sense it's hypersensitivity. I would explain most of it very well. So let's go to hyposensitivity. Hyposensitivity is also common with children with ASD. So it is just the opposite meaning of hypersensitivity. This can look like a constant need for movement, difficulty in recognizing situations like hunger, when they are in pain or when they are ill. You see your child, you wonder what they are doing to themselves. You yourself, you feel for them, but they don't feel it. It is not their fault, but it is because they are experiencing what we call under responsiveness when it comes to the sensory. When it comes to the information the brain passes across to them. Another one can also be they can be attracted to loud noise, which is the opposite of hypersensitivity. For child under hypersensitivity, they don't like loud noise. But for child under hypersensitivity, they are attracted to loud noises. They are attracted to bright lights, vibrant colors. You just see them attracted to stuff like that. People who are hypersensitive or kids who are hypersensitive may engage in sensory seeking to get more sensory input from the environment. For example, kids with autism may stimulate their senses by making sound, by making loud noise, touching people or objects, or rocking back and forth. That's what we call sensory seeking behavior. So when you notice your child with autism is doing all this, and I know that sometimes you just want to stop. There are some levels of which you do all these things. One is first you understanding why this child is doing this. Understand this. Why is this child doing this? Many autistic kids also use stimming as a form of sensory seeking to help their sensory system to be in balance. So them doing that sensory, the back and forth, the constant movement, is not because they just want to be disturbing the house or they want to disturb themselves. It is just a way to get balance for themselves. So your problem is not even all these behaviors. What you should be looking forward to is, how do I minimize this? How do I? You understand? Because it has a reason why they are doing that. They are trying to get balance. Some of them involve repetitive movement, sounds, or fidget, or some of them they fidget. It is also just to help them to stay calm, relieve stress, or block out uncomfortable sensory inputs. Constant movement can sometimes seem inappropriate or destructive in a certain setting. Maybe if you have a child that is rocking back and forth, or the one that moves up and down, sometimes all this sensory seeking behavior are inappropriate in a particular setting, probably in office setting or probably in a school setting. It is inappropriate. So for them, autistic kids often feel like they need to suppress their stimming because they are used to, stop that, don't do this, don't do that. So sometimes they tend to just want to suppress this stimming. Don't forget that they are doing this stimming just to get balance. And when this happens, when they are trying to suppress it, when it happens, it becomes more and more difficult to self-regulate, leading to sensory overloading. So you are wondering what sensory overload is? Just exhaustion and burnout. Sensory overload happens when an intense sensory stimulus overwhelms your ability to cope. So before you know it, because you are trying to suppress it over time, it has become more and more, they become sensory overload. And this can be triggered by any single event. like an unexpected loud noise, or it can build up over time due to the effort it makes to cope with sensory sensitivity in a daily life. And when it becomes that just little trigger, just little, what you don't expect might just make them explode just like that. Sensory overload can feel like intense anxiety and a need to escape the situation or difficult communication. When the brain has to put all of its resources into sensory processing, it can shut off other functions like speech, like decision making and information processing. So you wonder, what happened? This child is not talking. This is not happening. Do you know they are not making decision? Maybe probably they have become an adult. You wonder when they're supposed to take a decision, they're not. And that's because they have been trying over time to suppress their stimming. You know, and like I said, stimming helps them to self-regulate. Self-regulate for us, we know, is how you behave in a normal way, how you act, how you know what to do in order. It is quite difficult for a child with ASD or even an adult with ASD. But when they try to do this to suppress, they get sensory overload. And then it can affect, when they get overload, it can affect their communication, it can affect their decision making, it can also affect the way their brain processes information. Let's talk about what sensory issues look like. So for many kids with autism spectrum disorder, it shows certain behavior when they are experiencing a sensory issue. So what are these sensory issues? One, there will be increase in movement, such as jumping, spinning, or crashing into things. It's just like you just enjoy doing that. Those things are called sensory issues, sensory behavior. Increase in stimming, such as hand flapping, making repetitive noise, rocking back and forth. Yeah, increase in that. Talking faster or louder, or not talking at all. Any of it, these are what we call sensory issues. Sometimes covering of eyes, covering of ears, they are also sensory issues. Difficulty recognizing internal sensation like hunger, pain, or the need for the bathroom. This is also a sensory issue. It's an information that is being passed from your voice, oh, I need to wee, I need to poo, I need to do this. Refusing or insisting on a certain food or clothing items. Yes. Frequent chewing or non-food items. You just see them, they keep chewing on their clothes, keep chewing on anything they see, and these things are not food. Frequent touching of others or playing rough. Difficulty communicating or responding as the brain steals resources to deal with sensory inputs, that means it shuts down. Escalating, overwhelming emotion or need to escape a situation, and that is what we have melts down. That's what we call melts. Listen to everything that I talk about sensory issue, and you are wondering, how do I accommodate this? How do I help my child? So I'll be talking about how to accommodate sensory issue. Now, understanding and accommodating sensory issue can ease discomfort and increase opportunities for autistic children, autistic kids to learn, to socialize, to communicate, and participate in the community. When you learn to accommodate, to accommodate them, it helps them in a long way, and it even helps you as well. So accommodation might accommodate environment, using tools and strategies, or creating a new habit or routine. Since sensory needs depends on the environment, accommodation, and it may need to be adapted for each setting. So now you need to, like I said, it can take you might need to take in new tools, new strategies, new routine, creating new habits as well. So what are the example of the accommodation like for a child with hypersensitivity? Now, the first accommodation is using light covers, sunglasses, or hats under fluorescent lights. For those ones that react to light, you can use this to help them accommodate to that particular environment where they have that. Wearing earplugs or headphones in a noisy environment will help a child that is hypersensitive to noise or loud noise. Yeah, working in a space with a closed door or eye walls just to reduce the noise. That is also a way to accommodate a child with hypersensitivity. Avoiding strongly scented products for those that react to smell. It will amaze you that you as a person, the smell you could not perceive. A child that is hypersensitive to smell would perceive it, and you keep wondering, there is nothing smelling here, but they perceive it. Yes, it is that. And you know, you can come into a house and probably maybe it's a light that's spoiled and it's sounding, and every one of you could not hear. A child that is hypersensitive to sound will hear that, because that is sounding so loud in their brain. Another way to accommodate a child with hypersensitivity is choosing foods that avoid aversion of texture, temperature, or spices. That's for a child that you know that they are picky eaters, or a child that reacts to tastes. Another form of accommodation for a child with hypersensitivity is wearing soft, comfortable clothing. So these are for child that react to a particular texture of clothes. When you have noticed that when I wear this particular texture, it might be silk, my child reacts to it. You can try cotton. You can try other materials until you get one that is convenient for them. And when you get that, please make sure that you invest in that for them, just for them to accommodate that. Adjusting schedules to avoid crowd. Yes, for a child that reacts to a place where there are too much crowd, you'll be surprised that sometimes your child can be doing well at home, can be doing a particular activity at home, but when you get out and there are not more than enough crowd that they have experienced, and they cannot do all these things, they just shut down. They are wondering, but you do this thing at home, but you do this thing at home. It is not their fault, but it's because they cannot cope in that setting. So adjust your schedules to avoid crowds. If there's a place you want to go, look for the time that there's no crowd, and you go there just because of your child. So that is that about a child with hypersensitivity. That's how you can accommodate them into a particular setting, just for them to be convenient as well. So what are the examples of accommodation for a child under hyposensitivity? Now the first one is visual support for those who have difficulty processing spoken information. Remember that I said some of them are attracted to loud noise. Use fidget toys, chewies, and other sensory tools. So these are stuff that you know that they can mouth. I think we have Z-Vite. Z-Vite is one of the products that we use for child that mouth a lot. Arrange furniture to provide space and open spaces. Remember that when they injure themselves, they don't know, they don't feel it. So just avoid all this furniture that you know that they can hit themselves on, they can bang their head on, because they will not feel it when they injure themselves. You know, another one is taking frequent movement breakouts throughout the day. If you know that they are the ones that they want to move all the time, maybe just 30 minutes, remember to just take them and walk around. While they come back to sleep, at intervals, take them out for movement and then come back. It is just a way for them to self-regulate. Everyone self-regulates. It is just that ours is different in the way they self-regulate. And when you just learn it, life become better. You are not frustrated as a parent. And they too, they do well. Eating food with strong flavor or mixed texture. Remember, this is the opposite of hypersensitivity. For a child with hypersensitivity, you just take out all these things. But for a child with hyposensitivity, because they are under responsiveness, you can all give them all these things just for them to get to that level where they will be aware. You can also use weighted blankets, lap pads, or clothing that provide deep pressure. All these are ways that you would accommodate sensory issues. And sincerely, I know it will take a lot of time. This will take a lot of experiment. It will take you trying this, trying that, trying this, trying that, just for you to get to that point. But you know what? Don't stop at trying. Don't stop at trying to figure out what is going on. Don't stop. And when you notice that your child have all this probably in symptoms, and then you are still worried, how can I go about this? I don't know anything. You just need to seek help. Reach out. reach out, talk to a special needs therapist, talk to a therapist, just reach out, look for solution, and then there are many people to guide you. I'm also here to help you, and you can reach out to me at any time. You can send a mail to me via prettymayflower@gmail.com, or send me a message on WhatsApp at 0036332045. Honestly, we will hold you by your hand and walk you through. It will get better by God's grace. God is here to help us, and I love you so much. I will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much. Please kindly subscribe, kindly share, and turn on your notification. And if there's any comments, please drop. I would respond to every one of them. I won't leave you hanging. Love you, and do have a great day. Bye.